I recently read that only about 15% of Gen Z rate their mental health as excellent, compared to more than 50% of millennials who reported their mental health as excellent just a decade before. We are stuck doing majors and jobs we don't like. We are stuck scrolling through social media, watching other people live, and genuinely asking ourselves if our own lives are going anywhere. This year, I decided I'm not okay with that being my story. I kept hearing the same advice: if you want to change your life, then change what you consume. So I decided I'm going to give that a shot. I decided I'm going to stop the mindless scrolling, or at least reduce it, and then replace them with reading very good books. But here's the problem: reading really sucks, especially when you can't relate with what the author is talking about. Like, imagine being broke and reading a book on how to make money. Then the author is talking about how he started with $100,000 and grew to $1 million. Then you are sitting there asking yourself, like, bro, if I had $100,000, I may not even be reading this book. So, which books should you actually read? I have found that if what you are dealing with is not something that needs clinical help, then changing your life really comes down to three key areas that you can work on. I have focused on those three, read 10 books, and in this video, I'm going to break down what I have learned. The first key area has to do with myself, or what I call my inner world. Here, I mean, how do I see the world? What are my values and my morals? What do I deem as good and worth pursuing, or worthless and needs to be appropriately put away? In this area, I read three books: 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God, also by Jordan Peterson, and Mastery by Robert Greene. 12 Rules for Life hits me on a very basic level. There is a chapter in there that really stayed with me: tell the truth, or at least don't lie. This year, I tried to actually live that. To tell the truth, not just with my words, but with my actions. One thing I can see more clearly is that I can handle whatever life throws at me without becoming resentful or bitter. I have more respect for myself because I know that I'm not building on self deception anymore. I've also had to admit that I'm not as skilled or qualified as I previously thought I was. But strangely enough, that is kind of freeing because I know exactly where I need to improve now. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: if you feel stuck and don't know what to do, start by telling the truth, especially to yourself. Be honest with yourself where you have wandered off the appropriate path for you, and slowly make the necessary actions to correct them, one step at a time. Now, we all have our inner struggle with good and evil, and We Who Wrestle with God is the book that helped me to put that into perspective. This inner conflict that we all have, that I have, stopped feeling random and meaningless. It's not just, oh, I am overthinking again. It's, I'm trying really hard to align myself with something higher, and sometimes that is going to hurt, and I have to take my time to see the next step forward, and that's going to take some time, and that's okay. One thing this book really taught me is that we all have beliefs, and the best way to discover your own beliefs is not to listen to the words that you say, but to actually watch how you live. What do you do when no one is watching? How do you go about getting what you want? Do you tell the truth and align yourself with reality? Or do you lie, cheat, and manipulate to get your own way? Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: don't be too quick to believe what other people, or even you, say about values and beliefs. Watch how they actually behave, and start by watching yourself. Mastery made me realize that everyone I'm comparing myself to has actually been doing their thing for a very, very long time. For example, for me, I want to share the skills and lessons that I've gathered through my 20s so that anyone with a similar starting point can just follow along and benefit. This is not a 6 months game, not even a 1 year game. I look up to people like Ali Abdal, Siobhan Salmon, Praise Ashalu, MKBHD, and these guys have been doing this thing for years consistently. Instead of expecting instant results, I started seeing my skills as crafts that I can potentially build into something world class only if I stayed with it long enough. And that takes a lot of pressure off me. I don't have to be good now, I just have to be less bad than I was yesterday, and just watch time do its magic. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: everyone you are comparing yourself to has probably been doing their thing for years. Give yourself time to learn and grow. Now let's move on to the second key area, which has to do with people and relationships. I read 48 Laws of Power right after I read 12 Rules for Life, and I'll be honest, for the first time, the book felt completely evil. It felt manipulative, cold, and even psychopathic. I really thought it was some complete joke. But later, after watching a conversation between Jordan Peterson and Robert Greene, I started to really see the book in a different light. The book showed me part of myself that I want to believe does not exist. Also, if you have no capacity for harm, then you are not good. You are actually just harmless. This book also helped me recognize when power games are being played around me, and it stopped me from being so naive. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: don't be naive. You have a tremendous capacity for evil, and so does everyone else. Knowing that doesn't make you worse. It actually gives you self respect because you stop believing anyone could walk all over you. How to win friends and influence people taught me to remember people's names and also to listen to them, not just to respond, but to actually understand. It sounds very basic, but when I started doing it intentionally, it really made a difference. There was this guy who was genuinely shocked I remembered his full name the next time we met. That one small thing opened him up completely. He became comfortable with me and started sharing with me real problems that he has. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: remembering someone's name makes them feel important, but don't do it as a trick. Do it out of respect. It means you paid enough attention to treat them like they matter. Now, the third area, which I believe everyone listening to me now is probably trying to fix, is their money. So the third area has to do with business and finances. Now, in this area, I read 5 books: $100 million Offers, $100 million Leads, and $100 million Money Models, all by Alex Hormozi. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins, and The Millionaire Fast Lane by who was The Millionaire Fast Lane by? DeMarco? What was his name? DeMarco. Something DeMarco. What was it? MJ DeMarco, yeah. And The Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco. $100 million Offers simplified business for me in a way that nothing else had. This was the big shift. Business is about value creation. It's not about trying to finesse people so that you can be rich. If you can solve real problems that real people have, then you have the foundation for a business. It also forced me to think about who I'm trying to serve. It's not just people with problems. It's people who have the problem, are willing to pay to solve that problem, and can actually afford to pay to solve that problem. Now, as a creator and a business owner, it's made me realize that my content can't be, just the vibe. I had to provide real value to real people. People could get knowledge, clarity, they could change their action. I mean, they could do something that they wouldn't have done if they hadn't listened to me and get like positive or great results out of it. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: if you want a successful business, you need to solve real problems that real people have and solve them for people who are not only willing to pay, but can actually afford to pay for it. $100 million Leads really humbled me. Before, I used to think, oh, I have a great business idea. I need a very beautiful website. I need a very good name for the website. I need a very beautiful logo, and I'm off to a great start. After $100 million Leads, my mind shifted to something that is much simpler. Can I actually get people to purchase the product? My phone died and I actually finished recording the whole video only to realize that it died. What's going on? Anyways, Alex breaks down these into 4 main areas, which he calls warm outreach, cold outreach, posting free content, and running paid ads. Now, anytime I have a business idea, I don't just run to create a website. I really think about how to get people through these 4 main doors. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: learn how to get customers manually. It's usually your best bet to first make some money, which you could then reinvest into the business to run paid ads and scale your business. $100 million Money Models made me realize something very important. Sometimes the solution is great, you just don't have the right model to deliver it. Now, these 3 books made me think in terms of ladders. Especially where I'm from Ghana, I see a lot of businesses who have just one product and they're like, hey, I have my product, buy it. These books have made me think in terms of value ladders. That is, to start by solving a very simple problem, then progressively solve more complex problems and charge more as the difficulty and value goes up. Now, when thinking about a business, I think about how can I structure it so that people can enter at very low risk, and once I've proven my worth and they can trust me, then I can introduce better value for them and I can charge more for that problem. Summary of my biggest lesson from this book: don't just think about one product or service. Think in value ladders, from very simple basic problems to complex painful problems, and charge more for those complex problems. Now, The Simple Path to Wealth was my introduction to the idea of building wealth. Now, I don't fully live by its principles anymore because of the next book I'm going to introduce to you, but I truly believe it's a great starting point for the idea of building wealth. A summary of my biggest lesson from this book is to try your best to cut your costs down as much as possible. Now, The Millionaire Fast Lane by MJ DeMarco is by far the best book I've read on the idea of wealth creation. Now, for a very long time, I truly believed that to be able to build wealth, I would need to do that through my job. and cutting down my costs and expenses as much as possible. This is what MJ calls the slow lane. And people say that is the safest way to build wealth. But the message from this book is that trying to build wealth from a low paying job is not just slow and almost impossible. It's actually very silly. You would mostly hear people who champion this lifestyle by saying, hey, if you start saving, let's say $100 to $500 every month over a 40-year, 50-year period, then you become a millionaire.
Guys, did you know if you invest $100 a month from age 30 to age 70, you're going to have around $1 million in your mutual funds and your 401k? $100.
Years old and said, I'm going to put $200 a month and invest it in this 7% return. And I did that from age 25 to 65. The projections on here would say you have over 500,000 by the time you're 65 years old.
Before, I just went with it, but MJ makes it clear that $1 million in 50 to 60 years is worth nothing for anyone at this point, because the idea is not just to have the money, but to be able to enjoy it with the people that you love. And then you may not be able to do that after 50 to 60 years. After reading this book, I stopped seeing a job as a real financial plan for my life. Honestly, I don't think I'll rely again on a job long term. I need to spend my time solving real problems for real people who can afford to pay, and not just be trading my time for a paycheck. If you are young and don't have huge responsibilities yet, don't lie to yourself that your dead-end job is preparing you for your dream business. Have an exit plan. Right now, you are the strongest and freest you would ever be. If you don't switch lanes right now, then you have to be comfortable knowing that you may never ever build wealth. So am I a millionaire, or do I have excellent mental health after reading all these self-improvement and millionaire books? Well, no. But my life is different. I tell myself the truth more and more. I understand people and power a bit better. And when I think about business and money, I'm no longer just dreaming. I'm learning to actually build something that can scale. If you are feeling stuck and anxious or just scared of staying average, well, you don't have to read all these books at once. If you want to start with yourself and your inner world first, then I'll definitely recommend 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. If you want to understand people and power a bit more, then I'll definitely recommend 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. And if you're obsessed with business, money, and financial freedom like I am, then I'll definitely recommend The Millionaire Fast Lane and $100 Million Offers. Let me know down in the comments which book you are going to pick up first, or which of these books you have already read, and I'll definitely like some recommendations too as well. If you found this helpful, please subscribe, and we'll keep figuring this life out together. I'll see you in the next one.